Hello everybody, we are again here with your second lecture. So for our first lecture, we have studied about the basic concept and first point from your topic, that is food and industrial microbiology. In first lecture, we have studied what do you mean by food, what is food spoilage, and different factors which make the food improper for the consumption. Now in second lecture we are going to study your next point, that what do you mean by food poisoning. So we'll start. Now we will define the food poisoning as illness caused by the infection with microorganism and the ingestion of toxin produced and the chemical poisoning. Now what is food poisoning? When a person eats a food containing microorganisms or a food containing toxin produced by that microorganism or any other chemicals, and if a person after eating such food containing microorganism and toxin, if they show certain illness, then that condition is known as food poisoning. So what is food poisoning? Illness caused by the infection with microorganism and ingestion of toxins produced and the chemical poisoning. Now there are different factors or different number of organisms or many other chances of causing the food poisoning. One is the bacteria and their toxin, means the organism growing in that food and the toxins produced by that bacteria. Next is viruses. Next is chemicals and vegetable poisoning. So we'll start with our first point, that is food poisoning or foodborne diseases. Now foodborne diseases, now they are called as food poisoning and food infection. So foodborne disease, they are classified into two part. One is called as foodborne infection and another is called as foodborne intoxication. It is also called as foodborne intoxication or food poisoning. So today we are going to study in detail of about foodborne intoxication. Now first, before going to the main point, we will see what is mean by foodborne infection and foodborne intoxication. There is exactly difference. So see here, foodborne infection means what? The foodborne infection, it is caused by ingestion of a food containing live bacteria which grow and establish themselves in the human intestinal tract. Means if a person is eating a food which contains a bacteria in living form, that is live bacteria, then such food having live bacteria, when it is consumed, then there is some intestinal problem or any other infection, and that is called as foodborne infection. Means what? The food must contain what? Live bacteria. Then that disease is called as foodborne infection. Now what is opposite of this foodborne intoxication? Now what is foodborne intoxication? It is caused by ingesting the food containing toxins, so which is formed by the bacteria which resulted from the bacterial growth in the food item. Means if you are having a food, it contains a bacteria, but if you are eating the food containing toxin produced by that bacteria, then it is called as foodborne intoxication. Means suppose there is two food. One food, it contains what? It contains microorganism. One food contains microorganism, but that microorganism had produced what? Produced toxin. Then this second number of food which contains microorganism produced toxin, then such food when a person eat, it leads to the food intoxication. And only a food containing microorganism, no toxin, then such food eaten by the by the human being, it results to food infection. Okay, so only remember what live bacteria and intoxication containing toxin. So the live microorganism does not have to consume. So in intoxication, there is no need to eat microorganism present in the food. Only if the toxin is engulfed, then it lead to food intoxication. Now the first point in your topic was second point, that is role of microorganism in food poisoning, that is food intoxication. So here we will start with our second point, that is food intoxication. Now in food intoxication we are going to see two types of intoxication. One is bacterial intoxication and second is fungal intoxication. In bacterial, today we will see about bacterial intoxication. So in this, the toxin produced is staphylococcus enterotoxin. Okay, and it is produced by the organism Staph aureus or Staphylococcus aureus. Now first, what do you mean by staphylococcus intoxication? It is the most common type of food poisoning which is caused by the ingestion of enterotoxin formed in food during the growth of certain strain of staphylococcus. Okay, so organism which is staphylococcus, it is present in food and it is producing which toxin? Enterotoxin. And when a person eats a food containing enterotoxin, then it leads to staphylococcus intoxication. Occasionally occurs 2 to 8 hours after eating. Means when you eat a food containing enterotoxin, then after 2 to 8 hours the staphylococcus intoxication or food poisoning may occur. It is caused by staphylococcus enterotoxin, which is a protein exotoxin released during the growth of staphylococcus aureus. Now here you have one confusion. Okay, so see here the staphylococcus, it is producing which toxin? Enterotoxin. Okay, but this enterotoxin is exotoxin. Means what? Staphylococcus, it is producing the toxin which is released outside, so it is called as exotoxin, but the toxin name actually is enterotoxin. Now we'll see the morphology of the organism which produces staphylococcus intoxication, and the organism is Staphylococcus aureus. You know this character, you are very well known about this organism. Okay, so they are gram positive cocci, non-motile, non-sporulating, non-capsulated, and they are arranged in the clusters. They are aerobic or facultative anaerobic. So this is about the morphology. What are cultural characteristics? When you grow the organism on media, that is like nutrient agar, milk agar, then they will form which color colony? Golden yellow colored colonies. Another character is they are heat stable enzyme. They produces heat stable enzyme. They can tolerate the salt of 10 to 20% concentration NaCl and tolerate the sugar of 50 to 60%, especially sucrose. The pH range for this organism is 7.4 to 7.6. Now the sources where these organisms are found. Mostly you know that well known, they are present on your skin. So origin of Staph aureus. Primary reservoir are the humans and the animals. Means they are always found on the human being and the animal. They are carried by up to 50% of the humans. Means most of the human being, they carry this Staph aureus, and they are present in the nostril or on the skin or on the hairs from which they carry this organism. Now we have studied this was about the Staph aureus. Now we have told that Staph aureus, it produces toxin known as enterotoxin. So we will study the character of enterotoxin, because the actually food poisoning is caused by the enterotoxin. So enterotoxin, they are simple proteins with having a molecular weight of 26,000 to 30,000. It consists of single polypeptide chains cross-linked by the disulfide bridge. Now this Staph aureus, they produces enterotoxin which are of 6 different types, and they are A, B, C1, C2, D and E. So these 6 types of enterotoxin are produced by Staph aureus. Out of these 6, A and D, they are responsible for food poisoning, and the B type of enterotoxin, it is highly heat resistant. Means it can survive in the food even if the temperature is very high. But food poisoning, it is caused by which enterotoxin? A and D. Now this enterotoxin, they are extracellular toxin. Okay, so why it is called extracellular toxin? Because the toxin is produced outside the cell and are produced at 40 degrees Celsius within 4 to 5 hours. Okay, so temperature is very important for the production of enterotoxin. If suppose there is a lower temperature, then the time required for the production of toxin will be more. For example, if the temperature in the food is 37 degrees Celsius, the toxin produced by organism is within 12 hours. And if the temperature is 18 degrees Celsius, then within 3 days the toxin is produced. Means as we decrease the temperature, the time required for the production of enterotoxin is more. Next is, which type of foods involves the presence of the organism, or which type of the food supports the growth of staph aureus and allow it to produce the enterotoxin. Now, mostly high protein containing food like milk sometimes require considerable handling during the preparation. Okay, so there may be chances that during preparation of any type of food, the organism present on your skin may come in contact with your food. So proper handling during preparation is very important. So if the proper handling is not there, that food also allows the involvement of the staph aureus. Next is, left at room temperature without subsequent cooking and prior to adequate heating. Suppose if you have prepared a food and you have left it as it is at the room temperature, means it is not heated again or it is not kept at the cool places. For example, the food which you prepare at home, once you eat, what do? We heat it again and then keep it in your fridge. Okay, so if the leftover food is kept as it is in the room temperature, then such food also allows the growth of the organism. Some other foods involved are meat, poultry, salads, cream and pastries. So these are all protein rich diet. Such food will allow the growth of organism and the production of enterotoxin. Next is, if a person eats such types of food and if such types of food contains enterotoxin, then the symptoms from which you can identify that the person is suffering from food poisoning, and that symptoms are: individual differ their susceptibility, means person wise the susceptibility towards the disease is varying. Incubation period is usually 2 to 4 hours. Symptoms are salivation, that is extra saliva secretion, nausea, vomiting, abdominal pain and diarrhea. If there is a severe cause from this enterotoxin, then there may be occurrence of blood and mucus in the stools. There is loss of appetite. What is appetite? No interest toward the food. Next is, when a food is said to be that it will cause the food poisoning, means how the chance of occurring the disease occurs. That is condition necessary for outbreak. Outbreak of what? Disease. When this disease is going to cause? When the food contains enterotoxin producing staphylococcus. Means the food should contain staphylococcus and it should produce the enterotoxin. Similarly, the food should have a temperature which will support the growth of organism, that is staph. And in short, the person which is ingesting enterotoxin food, then that only person will have the symptoms. That is, enterotoxin bearing food must be ingested to have the symptoms of food poisoning. Then this was about the symptoms, sources, means where this organism is found, what is the character of enterotoxin, where they are, which food involves in the, which food supports the growth of organism, then symptoms and how the outbreak occur. Now once the occurrence is there, or when one want to prevent themselves from the food poisoning, then what are the prevention measures? So preventions are very simple: wash hands and under fingernails with soap and water before handling and preparing food. Under nail means what? The skin present under your nails may contain some organism. So wash your hand before handling or preparing the food. If you are having the infection in your eyes or nose, or if you are having a wounds on your skin, then you should not prepare the food or do not serve the food. So your skin should be healthy. You should don't have any infection to your skin, eyes or nose. Keep your kitchen and the area where you are serving the food clean and sanitized. The food which you have prepared can be stored for more than 2 hours before serving. But for that, you should keep the food hot or keep the food cold. Means what? If you are eating sometime late, then keep that cooked food heated or keep that food hot before serving. Or if you are eating late, then keep that food in your fridge or refrigerator. Store cooked food in a wide shallow container and refrigerate as soon as possible. Wash fresh fruits and vegetables. Shop safely. Bag raw meat, poultry or fish separately than other food items. Okay, so this was about the first food poisoning or food intoxication caused by bacteria. So this was the staphylococcus enterotoxin. This is the enterotoxin produced by Staph aureus. Okay, so today we have studied about the bacterial intoxication. In next lecture we are going to study about fungal intoxication caused by fungus. Okay, so this was about the staph. Thank you.